Good news for the 49ers as the practice week for this showdown against the Seattle Seahawks begins. George Kittle back on the practice field. That's a very promising sign for his potential availability on Saturday night here at Levi's Stadium. The game against Seattle will determine the NFC West, and it will determine the NFC's number one seed. Trent Williams will not practice today with his hamstring injury, but Kyle Shanahan said that he has a chance to play for the 49ers on Saturday against Seattle at that left tackle position, which can also be taken as good news. Trent has never had a hamstring injury in his career, so hard to gauge what exactly the timeline will be. If he doesn't go, Austin Pleasance was actually really good in Trent's place. Only gave up 2 pressures over 40 pass blocking snaps on Sunday against the Chicago Bears. Stay tuned. I talked to Austin Pleasance in the locker room, so you'll have the full interview with him. Ricky Pearsall limited at practice today. That's good for the 49ers. He came out of the game against the Bears okay. 49ers also have an injury situation with Keon White. Groin strain. The defensive lineman will not practice today, but I did see him in the locker room, and it does seem that he's walking around fine. I do think that this is one of those games, it's so big, it's going to be an all-hands-on-deck kind of thing. If a player is physically capable to play, even if there is a little bit of discomfort, that guy's going to be out there, and the 49ers need all the pass rushers they can get against the Seattle Seahawks. Upton Stout remains in the concussion protocol, but he is progressing through it. Upton is going to be a limited participant at practice today, so he should be on a good track to play for the 49ers against Seattle. And finally, good news on the Renardo Green front. Missed the past 2 games with a neck injury, but the 49ers cornerback is a full participant at practice today, and that means that San Francisco will probably have him back in the secondary. Important against the Seahawks. They have JSN, they have Cooper Kupp, and Diamante Lenore wants to follow JSN around. He wants to shadow him. Here's what Kyle Shanahan has to say about that.
I mean, I know Dima well enough to know that's what he wants every week. So him lobbying for it really hard just makes me like him more. But it would have to do with what was the best for our team and schematically what we're going to do.
Now, there might be a minor worry from outsiders about Christian McCaffrey because he won't practice today with some back tightness. He had, I think, some back spasms even during the game on Sunday. But Christian verified that there is nothing to worry about.
No, not serious.
I got to talk to several guys around the 49ers locker room, got some good intel today, starting with the quarterback position. Take a look at this. Top quarterback ratings on out-breaking routes this season. 49ers have a legendary quarterback room this year. Number 1 is Brock Purdy. Number 2 is Mac Jones. I talked to the 49ers QB3, Adrian Martinez. He liked that stat, and Adrian was just talking about how dialed in Brock Purdy was. He was able to listen in on the headset to all the 49ers play calls, just like Mac Jones over the course of the game on Sunday, and then the pictures came in on the iPad, and it was right decision after right decision after right decision for Brock Purdy, and obviously the arm talent to beat opponents to the sideline. When I showed this stat to Mac Jones, he loved it, and he was like, yes, I'm ahead of Drake May. Mac is a funny guy. He's ahead of the New England Patriots quarterback. Obviously, Mac started his career in New England, but Mac talked about the fact that the Shanahan offense has been known to truly attack the middle of the field because that's something that can facilitate yards after the catch. You got to treat the sideline as a defender because if a receiver steps out of bounds, a ball carrier steps out of bounds, the play is dead right there. So Kyle Shanahan has generally liked attacking in between the hashes to take a defender, the sideline away, and also force the 11 defenders on the field to tackle more. The Juwan Jennings touchdown to win the game against the Chicago Bears, that was a pass over the middle. But the 49ers have stretched the field more often this year horizontally, maybe because the run game took a little while to get going. And that horizontal stretch has been successful in large part because of how well Brock Purdy and Mac Jones have thrown the ball outside the numbers. And it was a cool football philosophy discussion that I had with Mac in the locker room today. Another football philosophy discussion, and this is one of the hot button issues coming out of the game against Chicago. The 49ers rushed only 2 on the final decisive play from the 2-yard line where Caleb Williams rolled left, Yetur Gross-Matos closed in on him, and the pass was incomplete. Only Cleveland Farrell and Bryce Huff rushed for the 49ers. They had 2 defensive linemen, Yetur Gross-Matos and Sam Okawonu, drop into coverage. And then they had 2 linebackers, D. Winters and Tatum Bethune, also drop into coverage, even though it looked like they were supposed to blitz. Here's what Kyle Shanahan said.
I'm not sure exactly what the word was on the call, but I know that people dropping has to do with where the center goes and the protection. So that depends on the protection, how many guys pop out, how many come. So I don't know exactly how Tatum worded it, but that changes based off what protections they do.
How close did you come to calling timeout there? Like you were really close to doing it.
Real close. We were talking about seeing the look and stuff, and you just go off a gut, saw the look, we had everyone lined up, and sat there and thought about it, then just said screw it, see what happens.
What you would have called a timeout if you didn't like so.
If we didn't like it or something, if Saul was screaming something he didn't like, but no one said anything and felt good about it, so we just let it ride.
So in other words, they did what they were supposed to do. It wasn't them freelancing.
Yes. Yeah.
So Shanahan said that there was no freelancing on the play, but I talked to a couple other 49ers players in the locker room, and they said that play is not in the 49ers playbook, and that's more of what I thought. I've never seen a play where only 2 rush in that situation. The 49ers had 2 rushers against the Rams late in regulation in week 5 when the Rams were at like midfield and they just threw it up toward the end zone, and the 49ers needed a lot of guys in coverage. But at the goal line, from the 2-yard line, rushing only 2, I mean, it really seemed like there might have been a miscommunication or some freelancing away from the play call there. Whatever happened, before the snap, it all worked out after the snap, because Caleb Williams, he didn't have a throwing lane. He was dealing with 9 guys in coverage, and because the 9 guys were in coverage, there was nothing open on the side of the field to which he scrambled. I think that Bryce Huff might have won his one-on-one against the left tackle, in part because the middle of the offensive line was confused that there were no pass rushers up the middle. So Huff was able to win that one-on-one, force Williams out, and then Yetur Gross-Matos, Pythagorean theorem, the 27-yard closeout. What a play, one of the great plays in 49ers defensive history. Hustle play, athleticism play. It was impressive for Gross-Matos to close in on Caleb Williams. Anyway, that was dramatic. Hopefully I got you guys some answers, but we need to turn the page to this showdown against Seattle. 49ers going to be wearing the black helmets, black uniforms. It's their rivalry uniform. Much anticipated debut of that uniform. You could let me know what you think of it in the comments section. Seattle, really, really damn good. Kyle Shanahan today talked about what makes this defense one of the best in the league. I thought he had an extremely insightful answer from the schematic vantage point.
One, they've been running the same scheme now for 2 years together. They're extremely sound. They got really good players. He knows really how to stop the run and not give up any big plays with the 2-shell defense, but also not give you easy completions. Everyone's tight in their coverage. It's hard to do both. They put a lot of stress on you on the blitzes that they pick. They're very timely blitzes. Some are for the run, some are for the pass. But he does a great job of it, and it's a huge challenge.
So 2-shell defense for the Seattle Seahawks that is able to stop the run. Normally you got to bring in a safety closer to the line of scrimmage to have the numbers to combat the run game. The Seahawks are able to do it with 2 safeties back, which makes it really hard to pass and really hard to run, which makes them really good defensively. I mean, Brock Purdy played really well against Seattle back in week 1, but the 49ers still finished with only 17 points. That's how good this Seahawks defense is. They haven't given up much of anything scoring-wise over 10 air yards, and that's because they do play a lot of that 2-shell. My conversations in the locker room today, especially with the guys in the QB room, Adrian Martinez said this. He said the 49ers are going to have to work for everything. They're going to have to earn it in this game. Probably going to have to be a lot of long drives in this game because the Seattle is so good at limiting the explosives, and then obviously they try to goad you into takeaways. Mike McDonald was the defensive coordinator of the Ravens team that picked off Brock Purdy 4 times in that Christmas Day game 2 years ago. So this is going to be a test of all tests for the 49ers against Seattle. Yes, Brock Purdy probably going to have to run around a little bit. He may have to provide the difference again with his legs in this football game. The other side of the coin here is the Seahawks offense, which has not been nearly as good as it was to start the season, especially with its pass attack over the course of the past month and a half. And Sam Darnold entered this season with a reputation as somebody who had not delivered in the big moments. Sam was at the top of the league throughout a lot of the efficiency metrics last season in 2024 for Minnesota before he played the Lions in Week 18 and then the Rams in the wild card playoffs, and he was bad in both of those games, and I think it cost him a lot of money heading into Seattle this year. The stigma followed Sam around all the way until that game against the Rams a couple weeks ago. And obviously he shook at least some of it with the game-winning drive and the two-point conversion to Eric Saubert, a former 49er, in overtime. But I think one has to remember that the Rams would have won that game by 2 possessions. They were up 30-14 without a Seattle punt return for a touchdown from Rashid Shaheed that gave the Seahawks life. Like, the margin between, Darnold threw 2 picks and looked terrible and choked in another big game, and the Seahawks won in overtime, might have been a punt return touchdown for the Seahawks. My point is that Darnold is going to have to prove things all again here at Levi's Stadium against the 49ers. And maybe it's going to be an easier matchup against the San Francisco defense that has struggled. They're number 24 in EPA in the league, and the Rams are obviously a top 5 unit. But Robert Saleh has found a way to make this defense insanely opportunistic relative to the overall quality. He has found very opportune spots to pounce and to try to pry some takeaways or key 4th down stops, and that's something that Sam Darnold is going to have to combat in this game. That also leads very naturally to the third phase. Obviously the standard battle between the offense and defense in this game is going to be compelling, but it's the special teams phase which might be the difference maker, and it is fitting that the Seahawks rank number 1 and the 49ers rank number 2 in the entire NFL when it comes to special teams efficiency. So yeah, Rashid Shaheed, good returner. So is Sky Moore. Eddie Pinheiro is a really good kicker, but the Seahawks have been good in the kicking game as well. The coverage for Seattle has been good. I think the coverage for the 49ers has been good this year. Brant Boyer has really turned that unit around, and it is going to be A+ cinema watching the 49ers and the Seahawks get after it. Well-played football, I think. We can expect it in all 3 phases. I know that the 49ers defense has not been good ever since they lost a lot of their big pieces, but they have been opportunistic, and that they're going to throw everything they can at Seattle. And maybe, just maybe, Seattle's 2-shell defense, which will force the 49ers offense to be patient, maybe that allows San Francisco to take the air out of the game with their offense. Long drives, don't turn the ball over, and you keep the 49ers defense on the sideline. As of right now, the Seahawks are 1.5-point favorites. The 49ers opened as 1.5-point favorites, so this has swung into Seattle's favor, but I think it just goes to show you the uncertainty about what's going to happen in this massive, massive game. Just the other day, we had the 6-year anniversary of that one up in Seattle where Marshawn Lynch came out of retirement and the 49ers were able to beat the Seahawks on the Dre Greenlaw stop at the very end. I was talking about some of those 2019 epics with Thomas Morstead, 49ers punter. He was actually in attendance at the 49ers Saints games, both epics. 49ers Saints 2011 at Candlestick. Morstead was in his 3rd year. But he was at the 2019 game in the Superdome, which was a lot like the 49ers win over the Bears here a couple days ago. That was the George Kittle game. And it's a good thing that the 49ers get George Kittle back. 49ers practicing only very lightly this week because it's a short week on Saturday. I'm sure Seattle's doing much of the same. They're going to probably be in the stadium. It's going to be dark outside, and they don't have lights on their practice field. For those of you who want to be familiar with what it looks like here in Santa Clara, 49ers practice over in that direction. The stadium is right here, and on days where they practice late in the winter months after daylight savings time ends, they've got to go inside the stadium. and I'm going to be heading in just a moment to get you some footage from practice as well. So 49ers Seahawks, you guys remember the terrible takes a few years ago? Not that long ago, the 49ers have mishandled the quarterback room. They don't know what they're doing. Well, they had Jimmy Garoppolo give them 5 years of productive football. They have Brock Purdy playing at the very, very best level in the entire league. They've turned around Sam Darnold's career. Who's going to be the next quarterback in that rehab pipeline? All I have to say is that for a team that has mismanaged its quarterback situation, not bad to have two products of the quarterback room going at it in a battle for the NFC's number 1 seed. All right, enjoy these interviews from the 49ers locker room. We will talk to you soon.
A huge game for us, obviously, for all the reasons you just said. You know, our intent right now is just to get better, have a great practice, get ready to roll. What?
Kyle mentioned that you're dealing with some back stiffness. Is that anything serious?
No, not serious.
So what's the challenge of you guys having to play back-to-back short weeks in such a big, important game?
It is what it is. You know, we don't make the schedule. We'll show up ready to go.
And how much do you look at the first game? It was so long ago, but how much do you look at that in preparing for this game?
Yeah, definitely something we'll look at. You know, we'll look at every game, but a lot happened since September. So there's stuff that you can look at from every game, and do everything you can to prepare.
What is it about their defense that makes them so good?
I think they play really well collectively. They obviously have the individual talent at every level, but they play really good team defense, fly to the ball, and make it tough to gain every yard. I think it's you got to earn every yard.
First thing in my mind was like, okay, here we go, and then just taking it one play at a time, and all I got to do is my job, and we got great guys around us and all of the team, and so just knowing that they got my back and that as long as I do my job to the best of my ability, everything else will take care of itself. So
you've had a lot of stops in your career, and I was like your first full game in effect.
Yeah.
Do you ever wonder if you're actually going to have? You don't want Trent to get hurt and all that, but
right.
Do you ever wonder if you're ever going to get an opportunity to kind of play a full 4 quarters and show what you can do?
The thought crosses my mind sometimes. I'm not gonna lie, but and I've said this before. As long as I trust in God and show up and do the work, He'll take care of the rest. And when my time comes, it'll be there. So.
What were there nerves on play one?
There were some butterflies. I'm not gonna lie. Just the excitement and the adrenaline that hits whenever you find out you're getting ready to go in. But you just take a deep breath and take it one play at a time. And I felt like I got more comfortable as the game went on.
You're replacing Trent Williams. Probably can't fully replace Trent Williams, but
yeah.
Can you push that out of your mind, like the expectations of I've got to fill in, for this Hall of Famer, or are you just so laser focused on what you have to do?
Yeah, I mean, I try to focus on the whatever's right in front of me. I try to focus on the one play at a time and just doing my job in the moment. And then, after the game and stuff, it's like, yeah, those are some big shoes to fill, so, but yeah.
Related to that, how much of a benefit have you gotten from being in the same room as Trent Williams?
Oh, it's been huge for my development over the year. Just hearing, little pointers here and there from him, or being able to go to him with any questions. He's been great in helping me out with that. So it's been great.
At what point do you guys feel that your team kind of went into playoff mode? Middle of the season, after the Fred injury, like where do you guys feel that you were in that mode?
I mean, we talk about just taking care of the week ahead of us, and playing one game at a time. And at least for me, it's always one rep at a time, one day at a time. And I don't know. I mean, I've kind of felt it the whole year, just the way that this team's built and the culture we have. Like, it's always about the main thing, and that's winning football games. So I kind of have felt it throughout the whole year that we're going to make the most of every opportunity that we get. So.
Have you gotten a chance to talk to Trent after Sunday night's game, and if so, what did he share with you?
We talked shortly, like right after the game. Emotions were pretty high, but we haven't sat down and talked anything like in particular about the game.